Hey folks, welcome to Saturday Studies with Aniqah, your lit teacher, me. This is the pilot episode. It is the first episode of a series I'd like to do, analyzing poetry. And today we'll be analyzing the poem Closure. Before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about my intentions with this series. So the whole reason why I'm doing this is because coming from a math background, I know a lot of people think that poetry is too complicated and they prefer not to read more complex poetry. And I really think that it all stems from having someone. And I think if you took the time to actually sit down and analyze poetry, you could appreciate the significance, intricacies, and beauty of using poetry as a form of expression. So, in order to help facilitate you, in order to encourage you to love poetry like I do, I really want to sit down and analyze some poems with you, explore their meanings and why the poets may have chosen specific words or written things in a certain way. So if you'd like, you can check the schedule at the end of this video. I'll leave a timestamp below so that you can try and analyze the poem with me and we can go through it together. So when analyzing poetry, the first thing that I like to do is read the full poem. So the first thing that we're going to do is read the poem without trying to figure out its meaning or anything. Just straight on read the poem. So closure. To be told that the memories were worth it, once treasured, still great, but now it's just too late. Don't wait for closure, it will never come. Apologies rarely slip off the tongue of someone who knows that they've done wrong. Rather, find meaning in what you find in yourself, that you are enough, that you never needed anyone else to make you whole. Now that we've done the full reading of the poem, we're going to reread and analyze based on each stanza. So let's start off with the first stanza. To be told that the memories were worth it, once treasured, still great, but now it's just too late. So let's take a moment to think about what we think that this stanza means. To be told that the memories were worth it. So someone is telling the writer that the memories were, the writer's thinking about if someone were to tell them that the memories were worth it. Once treasured, still great. So if we could just take a moment to think about someone who we love telling us, yes, the memories that we've shared together, yeah, they were once treasured and they're still great. Once treasured implied that at one point in time the memories meant so much. They were a treasure. The use of the word treasure here, not just, oh yeah, the memories were once great. No, they were once treasured, they were cherished, they were important to the poet. Still great. So it's no longer treasured, but it's still great. So something might have happened so that the memories are no longer as impactful as they once were, but the poet is thinking, okay, if the person were to tell me that even though they're no longer as important, the memories, they're still somewhat cherished, still great. Then the poet says, but now it's just too late. Now it's too late for them to hear this. Now it's too late for these memories to make as much of a difference, maybe. So this stanza is basically giving us full disclosure. Okay, this poet wants to be told that the memories that they've shared with this person were, that they meant something. And haven't we all had that experience where we've shared a time with someone or shared an experience with someone, your first bubble tea or something, and it was such a moment that you thought you would remember forever, and now looking back on it, you still remember it, and it was still a fun moment. But now maybe it might mean something a little bit different to you. Maybe it might be bittersweet and nostalgic because maybe the person isn't in your life anymore. Maybe the person has passed on. Maybe something has happened that have caused you to drift apart. Now it's just too late for the memories to mean as much as it meant before. Don't wait for closure. It will never come. Apologies rarely slip off the tongue of someone who knows that they've done wrong. And so this has a significantly different tone than before. Before we had a nostalgic tone. We were thinking, okay, I wish I could be told this, but now it's just too late. Now it's a bit more rough and sad in like an accepting kind of way. Don't wait for closure, it will never come. The writer is saying, I'm never going to hear the words that I want to hear. It's too late. It's never going to come. Apologies rarely slip off the tongue of someone who knows that they've done wrong. So here we have an idea that the person who the poet is talking about hurt them in some way and they're not going to apologize. And the poet is saying, people who have done wrong, they don't usually apologize. Apologies never slip off the tongue. And the way that this is written, apologies really slip off. So it's when we think of something slipping, we think of something, happening quickly or with ease. So for the apology to slip off the tongue, it would give the idea of something happening naturally, quickly. The poet is saying that this is not something that happens easily. People don't just say, okay, I've done something wrong, I'm sorry. And it's true, when we have hurt people, when we've done something wrong, it's really difficult for us to admit that and do something about it, accept accountability. Let's move on to the next stanza. Actually, before we move on to the next stanza, I want to highlight the last two lines of someone who knows that they've done wrong. So this person hurt the poet and knows that they hurt the poet, knows that they've done something wrong, but isn't willing to apologize. And that's important because in our everyday lives, sometimes we do things that hurt others and we're not willing to say, I'm sorry, because it could be from a reason of ego or pride or anything along those lines. And we know that we've done wrong. We know that we hurt someone, but it's hard for us to admit that to ourselves and to the other person because we don't want to be seen as a bad person. But admitting that we have made a mistake is really important, and not just to the other person, but as a form of healing and growth for ourselves. Now we can move on to the next stanza. Rather, find meaning in what you find in yourself, that you are enough, that you never needed anyone else to make you whole. Now here we have the poet saying, okay, you don't need to hear anything from the person who hurt you. You need to find closure within yourself and not wait for it from anyone else. Because as the poet said before, apologies will never come. They won't always come. They may not be in the words that you want them to be in. What you expect someone to say might not be what they say. What you want them to say might not be what they say. So the poet is saying, rather, find a meaning in what you find in yourself. So the poet is asking you to introspect, to look at within yourself, find out what you need to heal and do it. That you are enough, that you never needed anyone else. So the poet here is saying, you don't need to hear what the person who hurt you has to say. You don't need them. You are enough on your own. You are enough, even though that person may have hurt you, may have tried to break you. You are whole. You don't need them, you don't need their words. You can heal yourself by introspecting, figuring out what you need to heal. What do you need to hear? What do you need to do? You find that and you work on it with yourself. Because if you rely on someone else for your healing, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Because no one is going to love you as much as no one is going to be able to heal you the way that you can heal yourself. Those last few lines, find meaning in what you find in yourself, that you are enough, that you never needed anyone else. We have that rhyme, yourself and else. It's a near rhyme, so it's not exactly a rhyme. But the poet could have ended off that you never needed anyone else. There's a cute little rhyme there, it could have ended, but she added to make you whole. And that's important because you never needed anyone else to make you whole. You are whole. To make you whole stands on its own. It doesn't have a rhyme because you are whole. You are enough. You don't need any other rhyme. You don't need anyone else. You are good enough on your own. You don't need anyone to heal you because you can heal yourself. I do have some final thoughts that I had recorded before that I'll add to this video. It was a clip from my launch video, so if you saw it, you can just skip over this, but it basically has my thoughts on why this poem is important and why it was important in this book and why I wanted it to be the first poem that you heard from this book. Oftentimes we want to hear something from someone else to help give us closure, whether it's I'm sorry or I forgive you, but try to think about what closure means to you, what you would like to hear from someone to make you feel whole, or that you think will make you feel whole. Why do you think that you need to hear this? Why do you think you need to hear this from them? Closure is something that we may rarely get from people who have hurt us, because recognizing that we've done something wrong and admitting to it is often difficult, whether it be because of ego or pride or just not wanting to admit that we've made mistakes. But we're all human and we all make mistakes. Recognizing that we have hurt others and apologizing is really difficult, but it is sometimes the strongest thing that we can do. The idea of closure for me is something that you have to give yourself. It is not something that you need to hear from someone else, although that can help because it can help you understand that they know that they have hurt you, and that could give us a little bit of solace. But instead we should work on focusing on ourselves and finding closure within ourselves. Closure is one of the poems that are very dear to my heart. It's not too complex with literary devices because, as I had mentioned before, I wanted this poem to be very direct. I wanted this book to be very direct when I am talking to my readers, because I want you to be able to understand and introspect. I don't want to hide too much between the lines. I just want to make everything very clear to you what I'm trying to articulate. I want you to understand that we have all made mistakes, we have all hurt people, and we need to be open-minded and be willing to put ourselves in the vulnerable positions of seeing from other perspectives. It's not easy. It's definitely going to be difficult. It's something that I'm learning how to do every day, and I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes and I still mess up a lot, but the goal is to do and be better with every day. For this month, I'll be doing 5 poems from my book, But Are You Really Sorry? If you haven't gotten a chance to order your copy yet, I will leave the link in the description below. If not, these 5 poems, I will release the poem on Instagram a week before so that you can check it out and do your analysis to discuss with me. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I think it's something that is really important to me because coming from a math background and my love for literature, I love to use my analytical brain to explore the deeper meaning and connections between things. So this is definitely something that I think I want to continue doing. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like this video, subscribe, and share some love on my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week!